That's why I fight it. Hello, everyone. Good morning to those of you who are with me, and good morning, afternoon, or evening if you're watching from home on YouTube right now, because I have no idea what time it is. Well, I hope you had a wonderful 2 weeks. I hope you can hear me well. Can you hear me well? You can't answer. Well, I hope you can hear me well. Anyway, so hi. Those of you who are new to my channel or to my radio show, my name is Vika. Stage name is simply Vika. It's Vika, V-I-K-A. I've been struggling so much with my name lately. People think it's Zvika, Vicky, Victoria, which people spell it sometimes Mika, Kika, whatever it is. People will say anything but Vika. So let me just make sure we all on the same page here. It's Vika, V-I-K-A. It comes from Victoria, but I don't go by Victoria. Actually, I do go by Victoria in my professional photographer name, because that's just easier for people and it's a little different, but my artist name is Vika. Okay, so I see the studio didn't fix the fly situation in here. Which is a little bit annoying, but I'll be waving my arms because now I can wave my arms, both of them. I'll be waving my arms today to make sure the flies don't get to me. Okay, so today we have a super interesting episode, in my opinion, and I'm the host, so it's going to be a super interesting episode. But today I actually collected, because it's the 12th episode, so we already have had 11 episodes on this show. And I've been living in New York for almost 3 years now. And on my Instagram, which is, it's simply Vika. On my Instagram, I get a lot of questions from you guys about living in New York City. And some of you are consulting me about maybe moving to New York City and asking me how it is like in the city. Is it actually what people say it is? Is it worth it? Can you survive in the city? What to do if you're a musician, an actor? Whatever it is, I get a lot of questions from you guys. So because today I didn't have a guest, and the guest is coming in 2 weeks actually, or next episode, so I decided to dedicate this episode to your questions and answer whatever it is that you asked me throughout the years about the city. So if you have any question, if you're watching live now and you have any question, you can throw it in my inbox on Instagram or go directly to the Mixcloud channel of Newtown Radio and write it in the chat box. I'll try to remember to look there. I think it's open there, so I can definitely see the chat. So if you want, you can throw it in there. But yes, hope you enjoy my morning music, which if you're on YouTube, you didn't, because I cut it out usually, which I don't know why, honestly, because the first 15 minutes, it's my music. So I'm not going to get a copyright strike, right? That's already mine. But anyway, yes, so I have a list of like 22 questions, and I don't really know how fast or slow it's gonna go, because some questions are easier to answer, some questions are a little bit more like complex, so it's gonna take a little bit more time. So if I can't finish all your questions in this episode, I'll try and find another time to answer the rest of them, which will also give you a little bit more time to maybe write some additional questions in the comment box below, or on my DM or email or text or whatever it is your preferred way to reach to me. You know, it's like not that complicated, so just find a way and write your question. Before I continue to the questions, I just wanted to let you know that I switched the time. Again, those of you who are watching on YouTube, maybe it's not relevant to you, but those of you who are watching live, maybe you notice, you're like, who's that girl? I never saw her. Yes, I changed my hours. So I used to be on Wednesdays 12 to 2 p.m. But because on Sunday, in September, so in like 2-3 weeks, I'm starting a new semester. I'm gonna have classes Mondays and Wednesdays, and my class on Wednesday starts at 10 and I go until the evening. So I decided that it's better to change it to morning, and then I'm gonna have my radio show, and from here I'm gonna run directly to class, which also means that the program is gonna be just a little bit shorter, just so I'll have time not to be late for class. Because those of you who didn't know, I'm actually a nerd, so I have to keep up with my grades, and being late all the time is gonna get me a B. So yes, the nerd in me is screaming, end the show earlier so you can get to class. I know grades are not important. Well, they are for me because, scholarships and stuff. So I need to keep my grades up, right? Then with those flies, oh my God, wow, I have a lot of energy in the morning. Those of you who are waking up with me, I hope you have a lot of energy because I talk a lot and really fast. That's why I have this radio show, by the way, so I can talk more. Yes, that's what I do. Anyway, without further ado, okay. So there's no specific order to these questions. It's just like very random. So I'm just going to start with the first question. And the first question is the weather really that bad? So, I would say depends who's asking, because depending where you're coming from, it can be okay. Like if you're coming from like Northern Europe and you come into New York, it's like, okay, cool. It's no problem. But if you're coming from the weather of Israel, LA, or like, just like generally like California, sunny, San Francisco, San Diego, LA vibes, or you're coming from a really hot country that is always hot, then maybe winter is not going to be your favorite season. Although I come from Israel, which is always Israel is not always hot, but Israel has really hot temperatures during the summer. So it's like we kind of used to the hot weather more than the cold. We don't have a lot of snow happening. Like it gets cold in the winter, but not like New York cold. But I love the winter in New York City. But I'm different. Like most New Yorkers hate it. Hate it. They hate the cold. They hate the rain. They hate the snow. They hate the snow that's piling up on their cars or their subway that are getting canceled, or the buses that never show up because of the snow or the rain or whatever it is, because everything is kind of delayed. If the weather is bad and it's cold and you feel like you just don't want to go out. That being said, in my opinion, winter season in New York is the most amazing season ever. First of all, there's Christmas, which is awesome because New York during Christmas has a lot of markets, like flea markets and a lot of like unique things. One of my favorite places to go would be Bryant Park, which is like super touristy, I know, but I'm tourist in my soul. So I love Bryant Park because they have a lot of like small boutiques. They have like these stores and the lights everywhere, and the ice rink. The ice rink. It's just like the city just feels so magical. So I don't care about the cold. And I personally love the snow. Like I was born in Russia and then I moved to Israel when I was very little. So I kind of like snow deprived. I really want to see more snow. And it sucks because since I moved to New York, it had less snow. So maybe it's me. Maybe I have a problem. Maybe I'm removing the snow for everywhere I go. But I love the snow, and I hope that this winter we're gonna have a little bit more snow, because I do think that like having this cold of a weather and not having snow is a moot point. Like I think it's useless. So if already we're suffering the cold, at least let it snow and be beautiful and pretty. But yeah, you probably, if you go to my Instagram, you're probably gonna see videos of me like enjoying the snow and like running like a little girl in the snow, because I just love it. But yeah, so winter-wise, really depends on you. Depends how, like, what kind of person you are. It does get cold. It does. And it's not like the most convenient, right? Like it's not LA. But that being said, it's really nice. And if you're okay with the cold, I think that's okay. Summer, on the other hand, summer in New York. You know the song? It's about summer in New York. She does not mention in the song how fucking hot it gets. It gets ridiculously hot. Like like bad. Like if you watch my previous episode, like I'm sitting here sweating because the fan wasn't working, and I'm like, it's bad. Like it gets so hot, and not to mention that it still rains. So, and this summer it rains a lot. So I don't know what up with that, but summer in New York is really, really hot, especially if we're talking about the subway system, because when you go underground and before you enter the subway car itself, when you just go underground, there's most of the stations, they're really old. There's no air conditioning. So you'll see people like standing with those like I don't know how to call them, but or like little hand fans that they start selling here in New York, which is super awesome. I think I'm going to get one. But most people will like find some sort of ventilation because there is no air in most subways in the city, or like just not only Manhattan, like Brooklyn, Queens. There is no ventilation, so it gets really hot. Like you go inside, you can get dizzy, you don't have air to breathe, you get hot, you start sweating, especially if it's like rush hours. Yeah, and no, if you can't afford taking an Uber, just do it, because rush hours, not only that you're getting choked because of lack of air, you're also getting choked because there are people standing like a centimeter away from you. Centimeter is a form of measurement that is not American. I don't know how to explain that, but inches. Let's say people standing like a few inches away from you. I really don't know the metric system. I'm trying to learn it, but it's like, I don't know. I lived 26 years doing centimeters, so it's a little bit hard for me. Apologies. But people are standing really close to you. So yeah, it can get really annoying. Like it gets like sweaty and gross and just, yeah, a little bit hard. So yeah, summer in New York, really, really fun. But if you know how to navigate yourself around the city and maybe don't go in the subway in rush hours, or maybe like equip yourself with, like a little handy fan, or just generally you don't care about being sweaty, just buy a lot of deodorant. And I hope this advice will follow all the New Yorkers, because some people just refuse. I don't know why. It's just so crazy. But yeah. But anyway, fun times, really. No, I'm getting adjusted to the seasons. That being said, fall and spring are amazing. The weather is so good. I love the fall and the spring season, because it's just, you go outside, there's as much as you can get fresh air, right? And you're just putting on a jacket. You can go walk around the city. It's very nice, especially when it starts getting a little bit cold and people are preparing for the Christmas season. Lovely. Anyway, enough about that. I think I'll spend like 10 minutes just talking about weather. So let's jump into the second question. The second question was from one of my followers, and it was, I'm a musician. Should I go to New York, Nashville, or LA? Great question, by the way. Great question. I think it's been not enough people talk about the difference in the music scene between these three places. Now, I can't really talk for Nashville since I haven't been there, haven't lived there. There are things that I heard about it. I do know that it's mostly, like it used to be mostly country music. Now it's developing, and there are a lot of musicians going there not only for country. But I really can't say too much about Nashville. Regarding the difference between LA and New York, look, I think it really depends. These cities are very different. I lived in both. They are very, very different. Culturally, musically, artistically, personally, lifestyle-y, everything is different. So it depends on what type of musician you are. I would say, so New York is very known for being very jazzy. If you have a band, if you're a drummer or a guitar player, piano player, or just generally like, especially like if you're classical, like saxophone, or things like that. And you're into jazz, you're into jamming, you want to play with people, I would definitely go for New York. New York is very known for the musicians, for the musicianship here in the city, right? Like a lot of jamming, a lot of sessions, a lot of jazz bars, piano bars, things like that I think if you're that type of musician, you can definitely find people here, especially if you're looking for a band to join or to form a band or to, start something like that in these styles. That is definitely a great city to be in. If you are a rapper, obviously there's a big rap hip-hop scene here. If you're into that also can be cool, especially if you're a rapper in an old school style or if you have a band, that's really great as well. LA, I feel like LA is more known for if you're a solo musician, if you're a pop musician, singer, songwriter. Don't know much about techno and electronic. I think I'm unfamiliar with the scene. I think LA is still better in this scene, in this style, but New York does have a scene for it as well. I just don't know how developed it is. But if you are a solo artist, if you do, as well, hip-hop and rap goes in LA as well. It really depends on your style of rapping. There is East Coast, there's West Coast. It's very different, right? Really depends on you. But I feel like if you're more mainstream, I would go for LA. That being said, the vibe of the lifestyle is very different in both cities. I feel like my music fits more in LA, but my character is not. My personality is not. I do not like LA, and I'm open about that, and I'm always saying that to people. I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not trying to badmouth it. I'm just it's not my style. There are people who love LA, absolutely love the weather, the lifestyle, having a car, everything's chill, no rush, no rats, no trash. Well, not trash. Well, there is trash in LA. But there are people who prefer LA. I prefer New York. I love New York. I love the city. This show is dedicated to the city, right? I would not have a show about LA. I'm sorry, I wouldn't. That's just LA doesn't have this type of culture that I can prepare you for because it's very isolated. Every person is to themselves, if that makes sense. New York has culture. New York has a lot of things in common that people can relate to, and the sense of community here is definitely stronger. I lived in LA for 2 years and I'm in New York almost 3 years now. So I definitely prefer New York. And although my music, I feel because I'm a solo artist, it's the combination between pop and rap. I feel I'm better in LA music-wise, but I do not want to live there. I do prefer New York and I'm going to make it in New York. I'm going to bring the style to New York if I want to, right? Dream big. But I have been performing here. There is a scene here. It's not that you can't. There is a scene. But it's just I'm talking about the majority. Obviously, whatever you're looking for, you'll find it because it's a big city. We all have everything here. Everything. You'll find your place. If you like me and even if you feel your music even if you do country, right? Even if you feel your music better fits in a different place, but you really want to live in New York, give it a try. I would say give it a try. There is everything here. You can find your own place. And if you can't, create it. Just create it. That's how things start. Just create stuff. Well, I hope that gave you some motivation and answered your question a little bit. We're gonna go to the next question. And the next question is it really that expensive? I feel that's a very relative question. New York is expensive. Yes, it is. I think I mentioned it in all the 11 episodes that I did here. New York is expensive. But it really depends. If you're coming from Singapore, right? Then maybe, depends. If you're coming from countries that you used to it being expensive, then New York wouldn't be such a big jump for you. Maybe even a little bit better, right? But if you're coming from countries that you used to cheaper lifestyle. You know, if you're coming from Europe, if you're coming from South America, it's gonna be expensive. New York is the greatest city in the world, but New York is really expensive. Yes, obviously. The rent here is crazy. The groceries, just the lifestyle. If you want to have a life, you want to have a social life, you want to date, if you want to go out, if you want to go see a Broadway show, if you want to have a drink at night or just your latte every morning, yes, it is expensive. That being said, I feel like I'm saying it all the time. That being said, the earnings here, like the earning potential here is also very big. Obviously, if you're coming from, for example, if you're coming from India, right? You can't really compare the amount of money you make in a month in India to what you make here in New York. So obviously, it's very different. You're going to make more money. And I feel like even if you start here, like let's say you were in finance in India, right, making a good living for yourself, and then you decided to move and you need to start from, let's say, from scratch, right? And you go and you become a bartender or a waiter here in New York City, you're still going to make good money. 20% tip. 20% tip. You know how insane is 20% tip? Most countries have 10%. Some countries don't even tip. New York, 20% tip on everything. So yeah, that's it, which also makes obviously the living more expensive, because if you go to a restaurant, prepare to leave 20% tip on top of your bill, you know, and tax and all that. But if you're working here, yeah, prepare to get 20% tip as well. Like that's, you know, people here, there are a lot of wealthy people here that will pay you for good service. So depending on what it is that you do, if you are a person that is striving for success, that's going forward, that's moving, that's constantly looking for ideas for growth and success, which this is the type of people that are here in New York, because you kind of gotta be that if you want to survive in this city. You have a potential to make a lot of money, and that makes your living like situation so much easier in this city, right? But also, you know, when we say like the city is expensive, yes, the city is expensive, but it really depends like where you live. Like if you're really on a budget and you don't have to live in Manhattan, and you don't have to live in like Williamsburg, you know, or like this chic environment, you can go to different areas. You can always go live in Harlem. Some areas in the Bronx are still, you know, affordable. Some areas in Brooklyn, you know, just make sure like you know the neighborhood, because before you move there, because, you know, every neighborhood has its own culture, its own people, you know, like some neighborhoods are very, very like culture oriented, you know, and like it's maybe like if you don't belong to the culture, it might be a little bit difficult for you to blend in, right? Like if you, for example, if you go to Coney Island, it's like, I call it like little Russia, although it's like not, obviously it's not only Russia, it's a lot of like just the Soviet Union used to be, right? But like Coney Island, they speak Russian. They don't speak English there very often, right? Like you go there, the stores are, everything is in Russian. You have Russian products. You have people speaking Russian. It's very Russian, right? And if you go to different neighborhoods, like you'll see most of the restaurants are from this culture, right? The language that is spoken, they're often going to be that. So just, you know, do your research about the neighborhood. Like if you don't mind, obviously you can get a cheaper living situation if you go a little bit farther from the city, and you do go to Coney Island, it's going to be cheaper than living in the city or Williamsburg. So do your research, you know, make sure you're familiar with the neighborhood, go visit there if you have a chance before you actually sign a lease, which I recommend, and I'll talk about it later. But explore the neighborhood, and if that works for you, why not? I know like in LA, a lot of people live in Koreatown, although it's very, very like Korean, and you know, all the signs are in Korean, yeah, like Korean stores, and like everyone is Korean there. But it's cheaper and it's close to Hollywood. So if you don't mind about that, and if you're okay with that, if you don't need a synagogue in Koreatown, I feel like you'll be fine, So just like do your research, but you don't have to live in a very expensive apartment in Manhattan. You can also find roommates. You can find your options. Like there are options in New York to live on the lower budget, right? Until you like get your shit together, basically. So it is possible. Like people say, oh, it's expensive. I find it as an excuse. Like, yeah, it's expensive, but it's very relative. Like just find a way to make more money. And if you come into New York, it means you want to make it in life, right? You're not just coming here to like chill. So just find a way, find the cheaper situation to live until you make it, until you kind of like, grow your budget, and then move. Like I've been here 3 years and I'm only moving up. Like that's just how life goes. When you work hard and when you progress, like your lifestyle progresses. I didn't start from living alone. In 2 weeks, I'm moving by myself. Just me and my dog. Guys, you have no idea how excited I am. I am ridiculously excited. The last time I lived alone was a really bad situation when I was 18. Because this is just a different story. I don't want to talk about it, but like that wasn't like, oh yeah, I live alone. No, that wasn't that. But now, for the first time in my life, I'm gonna live alone. Guys, I'm 29. It's about time, right? Like you have no idea how extremely excited I am about that. But 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 1 year ago, I wouldn't be able to afford it. It's not easy. So I didn't start there, obviously. But things are okay. And my intention is to only keep growing from there. But yeah, it's possible. It's possible. Just stop making excuses and understand that maybe in the beginning you're going to need to compromise, but it is expensive, but people do live here, so it is possible. Right? Good. Glad we covered that. Damn. It's been 26 minutes. I'm on the fourth question. We have 22. I'm going to try to make it a little faster because in 15 minutes, we're going to have a little break so I can breathe. And you can, have a little break from me. And then we're going to come back. I didn't expect I'm going to have this much energy in the morning, guys. It's 8 a.m. I don't know where this energy comes from. Okay, I think I mentioned the next question, but the question is it possible to make a living as a waiter? I think I mentioned it, so I'm not going to go deep into it. Yes, it is possible, depending on the amounts of hours you're working. Pick a restaurant that has many, like a lot of customers. Like don't pick some dead place that just opened and nobody knows about, obviously. Especially if you're new in town, you're probably going to go with, like you're going to start on a lower rate, I feel like, depending on your document situation, on who you know in the city, on your resume, things like that. You might start a little lower. But yes, definitely it's possible because especially if you go if you have experience, if you have all the required documents and everything, which you should, you're going to start from a specific salary. I think it's going to be around $18 an hour. I think. I'm not sure. But then you also have the 20% tip on top of that. So, if you have a lot of customers, you're going to end the evening with a good amount of money. And if you work 5-6 days a week, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And if you're a good waiter, then you'll be better. If you're a shitty waiter, maybe not so much, but and don't go work in Times Square when you have a lot of tourists, because tourists don't often tip 20% because simply they don't know. So if you go and work, that's just a pro tip from me. If you go and you work in more a neighborhood place, when you have, especially if you have returning customers all the time and they get to know you, they get to like you, the earning potential is better. They're not tourists, they're Americans, they live here, not Americans but locals. They live here and they know to tip you 20% or more. Definitely do that. Even in a coffee shop, you can make a good living if you're not waitering, but you're but you're a barista. You don't need to actually wait tables. It's still 20%. So you still can get a good amount of money. But while you're doing that, obviously look for how to grow and develop and, do more. Unless that's your career choice and that's something different. But like if it's something temporary, that's temporary until you find, better ways to make money. But yeah, definitely you'll be fine as a waiter, bartender, just generally like serving the service industry. You'll be good. You'll be fine. And also like New York has a lot of like other options. You can be like freelancer, right? So you can go to Upwork, Fiverr, TaskRabbit, and I think there are like some other ones that you can. What's the name? Annie? Not Annie. I don't remember, but there are a lot of people like that will go, like, for example, TaskRabbit, right? Like if you have a specific talent that you know how to do, or if you're just strong and you like moving boxes, you can apply to TaskRabbit and be like a moving like person, right? And people will hire you to help. Like I hired, when I was moving to Manhattan, I hired people from TaskRabbit to help me move with the boxes. They came with the truck. You don't have to have a truck. You can just be a helper. You can help people assemble things, hang in their TVs, disassembling like whatever they need. You can do cleaning. You can do deliveries. You can do paint. Whatever you can do, you can apply on TaskRabbit and do that. I don't know if you need to be like a freelancer for that or have a business. I don't think so. I think you only need to have like your social, and I think you'll be fine as long as you're paying taxes. I think you should be good. You can also drive Uber, do deliveries, all these things. You don't have to have a license. You can have a bike. Most people do it here on a bike. So there are a lot of like, if you're willing to work hard in the beginning, especially your first year, you should be good. The opportunities are endless. Okay, so I have a similar question here that I'm gonna answer pretty shortly because I'm not like really know that well. But the other question is, as an actress, should I go to New York or LA? The short answer will be like, depending on what you want. If you're looking more for film and TV, I would recommend you to go to LA, although a lot of companies are moving from there now. If you're looking specifically for theater, obviously New York. Theater people, yeah, New York. But that being said, there's theater everywhere. So I feel like, just like me, choose the vibe and the culture of the place that you like more. If you're more of a chill person, if you don't like the noisy, the packed environment, so go to LA, try LA. If you're more of a let's get this done, I need to run, then go to New York. But yeah, theater is more for New York people. New York is more for theater people. In LA, obviously, you have Universal, you have the Warner Bros, you have all these companies that are very good for film acting. But I feel like also today a lot of the auditions are held online, so it really doesn't matter where you live. But yeah, depends on what you're trying to do, like making connections, trying to get into the industry. Like I said, film would be LA, theater would be New York. I hope that answers your question and helps you a little bit. Okay, that's a funny one. I heard there's no elevators in the buildings. Is that true? I felt that way about Germany. I was like, what the fuck is the elevators in this place? Because in LA, there are a lot of elevators. And in New York, yeah. That's a legit question. Yeah. So, New York, okay. New York is a very cultural place. It's an old place. It's been around for a while. And a lot of the buildings are many, 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 many years old. So obviously those buildings don't have elevators. I mean, I think you can, from the look of the building, you can say if it has elevator or not. Obviously, the newer buildings do have elevators, the newer establishments, the newer, you can see that it was built yesterday. Yeah, they have elevators. Some buildings have elevators, although they look older. It really depends. Yes, there are a lot of walk-ups. A lot, especially in Manhattan. Yeah, a lot of buildings don't have elevators. A lot of buildings are old, and a lot of buildings you're gonna need to walk up, and the stairs are up. It's not like a nice no, it's up. I live on the 4th floor, that's a workout. And especially when I walk my dog 3 times a day, that's like, I do the stairs all the time. It is healthy for you. I mean, it's nice, but telling you that it's always fun coming back with like groceries or, my like suitcase with my photography stuff. And like after a long day, especially with the arm that I can't hold anything right now here. So I have everything in this arm and my backpack and everything, and like going these like 4 flights of stairs. It can be really annoying. So you need to consider if it is for you or not. If you want to live in a building with an elevator, usually it will be a little bit more expensive. But it exists. Really depends on you. But yeah, a lot of buildings have no elevators. Like also Brooklyn and Queens, like, yeah. So like, yeah, a lot of buildings don't. But like, for example, Queens, I feel like Queens, they don't have like this massive, like 6th floor, buildings. They have buildings without elevators, but they're more like 3, 4, flights, stairs, floors, Jesus, 4 floors tops, right? Manhattan has a little bit like on the higher, but I also don't feel like with a walk-up building, you're not gonna have more than 6 floors. I think it's just, I never seen it. I think the tops I've seen was like 5, 6, yeah. Which is, it's a lot. It's something to consider, but it's not like, it's not too crazy. Like all the buildings that have more than 6 floors, they will have an elevator for sure. So don't worry about that. Really up to you. What else? Okay, next question. We're in question number 7, you guys. I hope you're sticking with me. I hope you're enjoying this episode. I'm really enjoying this episode. I think it's really fun. Okay, number 7. Is Times Square really that epic? I think I'm the wrong person to ask. Because like I told you, I'm a tourist at heart. And I'll give you 2 answers. The first answer would be Times Square is gorgeous. It's amazing. And most New Yorkers will not agree with me, but most New Yorkers are also like, whatever. I love Times Square because of what it reminds me of and what it is, like I feel like when you live in New York, you kind of forget that you live in a city that so many people are dreaming about, right? And we as people, as humans, we adjust to situations very quickly, right? And I feel like living here for a few months, you're going to become this person of like, oh, Times Square, blah, 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 tourist, trash, blah. Yeah, you can choose to be that person, and it's very sad. To me, Times Square, like I try not to go there too often because it is a lot of tourists. It is a lot of people trying to sell you stupid flyers and like shoving stuff in your face and like, oh, buy this, get this. It's very messy. A lot of, homeless people, not a lot of homeless people, but a lot of people you probably don't want to like interact with, like you can get your phone stolen. You can, people will try to sell you bullshit. There's a lot of weird stuff happening. Yeah, all that's true. So I try not to like be there every day, although sometimes I just pass there because it's like so central. But to me, every time I'm in Times Square, although it's messy and busy and crazy, it reminds me that I'm here, like America and New York, it was a dream of mine and I finally achieved it and I'm here and I'm doing what I love and I'm building my life here in the best city in the world, right? And to me, it's just a reminder of what I achieved. I'm looking at the good things of New York and not like, tourists, rats, I don't know, like I feel like it's how you decide to look at that. Like if you want to be this person that just like hates on everything, well, that's on you. Like you can do that. But you can also choose to look at it in a positive way. I think Times Square is epic. I think it's one of the most amazing places in the world. It's bright. There's so many lights and people and big stores and just the entire vibe. Like I know whenever people come to visit me in New York and I take them to Times Square, this is the most memorable place that they, like, the end of the trip, like, what was your favorite place? And most people would be like, Times Square was insane. Because you go there and I literally see, those of you who are watching on YouTube, you can see my face. Those of you, like, those people who come to Times Square for the first time, their faces, like, like their eyes just like are shining, because it's, first of all, everything is shining, but it's just, to me, it's a magical place that if you have a chance to visit this place, definitely visit this place. I think it's amazing. But that's just me. We have a time for one more question, and then we're gonna take a little break so I can breathe. But well, okay, so that's good. Let's finish on that one, and then continue later. But so, because it's gonna be, this one is gonna be a little bit longer. But the 8th question is, how do I even start looking for a job? This is a great question, actually. How do you even start looking for a job? It's a loaded question. So it's obviously easier to answer it when it's a little bit more centered, when like you tell me what industry you're looking at, like, you know, like what do you even do, or like what kind of job you're looking for, what's your situation, where do you live, where do you want to, like, you know, how old you are, what's your experience. It's really like depends on a lot of factors how you're looking for a job, because it's really different. Like if you're a professional and you come here with a profession and you're looking for a job in like a bank or an accounting firm or a consulting firm, or, you know, things like that, my recommendation would be like, you have to know as many people as possible. You need to go to networking events, you need to go to social events, meet a lot of people, tell about yourself, introduce yourself, because these types of jobs, you usually score them by knowing people. You need to know somebody, so you need to start creating connections and getting to know people in this field, so you can start spreading the word that you're looking for a job. Because yes, you can, you know, polish your resume, and you should polish your resume and go on LinkedIn, go on Indeed, go on Job Recruiter or ZipRecruiter or whatever this is, and Facebook or whatever it is, and just like start sending resumes to companies. Yes, most likely you'll only get it when somebody throws your name in the pile, right? And somebody like, oh, John, I know John. Yeah, oh, yeah, check him out. And you get an interview. That's usually how things work. It's not only in New York, that's just how things work in life. So that's what I would recommend. If you're talking about the starting job, like we were talking about earlier, you know, like a waiter or things like that, get your butt up of the chair, go outside, walk on the street, and you'll see shitloads of signs for help needed, help needed, help needed. You go in the place by foot. You actually go. You go in and you say, hi, I'm looking for a job. I saw a sign. Can I hear more details? Here's my resume. And that's how you nail the job. That's just how it is. Yes, you can message them on Facebook. Yes, you can try Instagram. You can call, right? But if you want to get hired and it's urgent for you, just lift your butt off the chair and just go and walk around. You'll see all these signs and you'll get the job, probably, most likely, because if help is needed, so help is needed. And by doing that, by just like being on your foot and actually going to the place, you're showing them that you're committed, that you're actually like, that you're willing to show up, and it already puts you above all the other applicants that message them on Instagram. Oh, can I have more details? Because that's the easy way. People will do it all the time. You want to be above the average, do what most people don't do. Cool. If you're an artist, musician, actor, photographer, all that, and you want to come here and work as a freelancer, start a business, open an LLC, and like, I think there are other forms of businesses that you can open, but open a business, work on your social media, work on your networking, go out, spread the word about yourself, do some free stuff maybe just to like get the ball rolling. Tell about yourself to people. I'm a musician. I'm looking to join a band. Hey, do you know somebody? Go to open mics. Go to, there are like for actors, there are this like, there is sip and act. There is improvisation classes. There are improvisation workshops, or just like improvisation events and fun stuff like that. You know, go to stuff like that. If you're a photographer, go to photography walks, go to photography workshops, offer free shoots with like models, book studios, do photography of people on the street and then give them your card. Go to like, there's so many ways. Be out there. Again, butt up, on your feet, out, meet people, do the work. It's not easy. but that's how you do it. I hope that's kind of answer your question about the job. If you have something a little bit more specific, I'll be happy to help on my Instagram or in the box below. Oh, hi. Oh my God, I can see the box now. Hi. Hello. Oh, I'm glad you're joining me, Deb. I'm so happy. Hi. Wow. Oh, fun. Okay, people messaging me in the box. I'm very happy about that. I'm excited. Like, it's the first time I had a message in my box. I'm like, oh my God, people watching live. But yeah, no, I'm super excited. Thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for joining me live. But we're going to take a little break now because I have to breathe. Whew, I've been talking for so long. But yeah, if you have any more questions, please message me in the box or just on Instagram or message me or whatever you want to do. You can also call me. If you have my number, you have my number. If you don't, then don't call me. But we're going to listen to some more music now. Which playlist would you like? Let's go for the... Let's go to 90s local throwback. Why not? Let's do that. Let's do shuffle, smart shuffle. Let's see what they offer us here. And I will see you very soon with more of the fun questions that you asked me. Bye, guys. Hello and welcome back. Thank you for those of you who are tuning in and was actually live with me. I know most of you are watching from YouTube, which is also fine, but it's so fun for me to see that some of you actually went to Mixcloud and the link that I posted on my Instagram and actually tuned in and left some stuff in the inbox makes me really happy. But let's continue because we have so much more to go over. We still have a lot of questions. I don't think we're gonna manage to finish it all today, but let's do what we can, shall we? Okay, so the next question, where was I? Oh, okay, so the next question is, what part of New York should I live in? I heard Jersey is cheaper. Okay. Definitely a great question, because I remember before I came to New York, I was actually considering living in Jersey as well, because it is cheaper, and you can see, like, if you're comparing it to Manhattan, you actually have elevators in most places. But you can also, for the same price, you just get a lot more, right? Like, you get an actual apartment with that is like, in comparison to Manhattan, obviously, like, the living situation can be better. Again, depending on where and your budget, but yeah, definitely. But it's very important to consider what did you come to New York for, okay? Because it's really important. Obviously, if your job is remote and you don't really mind, and you prefer to have a car, and you like, so maybe Jersey can be a nice option for you. But just for example, for me, right? When I was considering living in Jersey, my consideration was a lot about, okay, even if I live in Jersey and I pay less for rent, you still need to take into consideration the road, right, that you're going to take. So either you're going to pay for buses or the path or the trains, depending on where in Jersey you live, right? Or the car, which is like tolls and gas and parking and, permissions and all these things. And then you need to think whether it's worth it for you. For me, as a creative, as a musician, as a social person, I was like, it doesn't make sense for me to live in Jersey, because I'm like, it's fun to live in Jersey when you're like settled, right? When you have like a family, you have children, you want something like nicer for them, you want something safer, maybe like quieter. Yeah, maybe. But like, as a young person, especially for me, again, a creative, and I like to go to networking events and to socialize and to be everywhere and to like just be out all the time, Jersey just didn't make any sense, because I was like, okay, if I'm gonna live in Jersey and I'm gonna waste the same amount of money as paying for rent here just to come here for the road, for everything, And then like I'm gonna find myself not even want to go out because I live so far away, and then it's gonna limit me. So you need to take that into consideration. Yeah, it may be cheaper, but what's the price you're gonna be paying for this commute, right? And if you're willing to commit to it, that's fine. But some people don't like to travel. Some people don't want to find themselves on a bus at 12 a.m. after like a hangout, half drunk, right? Like you don't want to do that. So think about that. Like sometimes it's easier to pay a little bit more for rent if you know that your life is centered around a specific area, right? Like a lot of young people go into Brooklyn because Brooklyn can offer a lot of, maybe a little bit cheaper to live there than Manhattan. A lot of young people, a lot of the music scene is there, the artists are there, everyone is there nowadays, especially like if you're in your 20s. I would consider Brooklyn. But if all your life is going to be in Brooklyn, but you're going to be living in Jersey, you're going to suffer. Trust me on that. That's going to be so annoying for you. And you might think to yourself, yeah, but I'm just going to get a car. Try to find parking in Brooklyn. You'll find yourself most of the time just not leaving the house because it's so fucking complicated to come to New York. So definitely consider that. If you're looking for something quieter, if you don't really care about like going out, and you care about your home, like if you don't need to be in the city that often, and if you just like come here sometimes, you can consider Jersey. Yeah, but it's definitely calmer. It's like more the suburbs, like even the city parts of Jersey, right? Like Jersey City or Hoboken and things like that. There is life there. Like there are bars and restaurants. It's very lively, but it's not New York. So don't think that you're going to be living in Jersey and call it New York. That's absolutely not the same thing. It's very different people, very different vibe, different opportunities. Everything is different. And I also I wouldn't say it's that much cheaper. Like it's Jersey, Hoboken, Jersey City, it's becoming very expensive. So like just think about that before you think you're looking at the apartments and the rents and thinking like, oh, that's probably better. Like sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's so yeah, something to consider. Let's see. Are people really rude? Duh. Nah, I'm kidding. Listen, I don't know who, again, maybe I'm too positive to answer this question, but I don't know who said that New York people are rude. We're not rude. We're honest and short on time. It's not rude. Rude is, I feel like rude is not a characteristic of the whole personality of the city. I feel like rude is a characteristic of certain people. So maybe like some people may be rude. Yes, I can't speak for everyone, but most New Yorkers that you will talk to, they're very nice. They're willing to help. They're there for you. They really are. Like if you sit alone in the bar, you'll talk to somebody, you'll find friends, you talk to people. I talked about it all the time in my episodes. Like people are friendly here. But you need to get your head out of your ass and understand that people in New York are constantly running against time. We are always in a rush somewhere. It's either our job, our clients, a subway, whatever it is, we're constantly on the run. We're constantly late for somewhere and have somewhere to be. So if you're about to waste our time, we might send you to fuck off. Right? But if you're like lost and you need directions and you're like genuinely like, hey, can you help me? You're probably gonna get help. Like New Yorkers would be more than happy to assist you. So I don't really know why it's so common to say that New Yorkers are rude. I don't feel it. I really don't. I don't know why that's the norm and why people think that, but no, just know that New Yorkers don't have much time. That's all. Like just be straight to the point, be direct. Like, hey, how can I get here? Hey, what time it is? Hey, can you just get to your point. Like something that I can tell you for sure is there are certain things in New York that people will be annoyed about. Is if you stand in the middle of the fucking road, if the fucking pathway, if you stand in the middle of the doors when people are trying to get out of the subway, or you're blocking something or somewhere, an entrance or a road, like there's like a lot of people traffic in New York, right? People are walking all the time. And if you just in the middle of nowhere decide to like walk, stop in the middle, oh, we're going to be very rude about that. We're going to be very annoyed. Like put your blinkers on, go to the side, check your Google Maps standing on the side, not in the middle of the fucking road. That's not a time to have a conversation with your friend heart to heart in the middle of Times Square, in the middle of the road. No, I'm getting annoyed just talking about it. It's really annoying. Don't do that. So people may be rude about that. You know, if you're not looking where you're going, if you're on your phone and you're just like this all the time and you're looking down and like bumping into people get rude about that, because that's not the city to do that. You're not in LA. People walk here all the time. There is traffic. You need to know how to navigate yourself, not driving, walking. So make sure that you know how to walk in this city. That's very important. We will get rude to you if you don't get to your fucking point. Let's say you stop me in the middle of the day while I'm like walking, running, doing whatever, and you're like, you're trying to ask me for directions, right? Just fucking ask me for directions, right? I don't need the whole introduction. Hi, so I'm new to the city and I just arrived and the clouds are so blue today. How are you doing? Let's talk. No, we don't have time for this. No, ask me for direction. Get the fuck out. I will help you. I will help you navigate your way. I will help you with direction. I'll be more than happy with anything you need. But get to that point. We don't have time. That's all. Time. Just value people's time in this city and you'll be fine. Okay? That's all. And don't try to sell us shit. We hate that. But that's just everywhere. 11th question. 11th question. What is up with my mic? Let me fix that. Oh, I feel like this is better, right? It's not blocking my face now. Okay. Okay. Let me sit comfortably. I'm uncomfortable. Okay, there you go. 11th question is food really that great? Is food really that great? Guys, food here is amazing. Like, yeah, the food here is great. The thing is, again, like, I haven't lived everywhere, right? But I did live in LA and then I came to New York. And I can tell you for sure that LA doesn't have a food culture, right? Like it's very healthy. It has a lot of avocado toasts and shakes and smoothies and like all these like, you know, granola, whatever. New York has the more unhealthy, like we do have healthy food, but the culture here is like unhealthy. It's like bagels, pizzas, you know, our own type of deli sandwiches, you know, like a lot of carbs. We have a lot of that going on. So, and it's amazing. And if for somebody who eats healthy, that can get really frustrating. Like that can, yeah. The bagels are awesome. The deli sandwiches are ridiculously tasty. The pizzas. Yeah. I'm so hungry, you guys. I haven't had breakfast because I'm not used to this radio beat 8 a.m. So I was like, I was in a rush in the morning. I haven't eaten anything. I did have a protein bar, but you know, that's just not enough. Not for me. So I'm so hungry. But yeah, no, the food here is great, but you need to be careful. Okay, yeah, you need to be careful because it's tasty, it's delicious, and it's very addicting. Like we have a lot of carts, like food carts, you know, standing in the middle of like the streets, selling you the bagels, the like empanadas, and you know, the halal food, which is also amazing. Like we have, so it's very accessible, it's very cheap, it's very unhealthy, right? But it smells so good if you like that kind of smell, right? So it's very addictive because it's very easy to get to it. It's very affordable. It's like you don't need to cook every morning. You just go to the cart and like pay $5 and get yourself like a huge falafel sandwich or like a bacon, egg, and cheese every morning, right? Like you can do it, and there are a lot of people who do that. Like that's how they live. But to tell you it's healthy, and especially for somebody who promotes healthy eating and, you know, lifestyle and everything, I wouldn't recommend that. You can do it sometimes, obviously, that's fine. If it doesn't cause you any like stomach pains and troubles, you can do that, but not all the time, because it is addicting. It is very good. It is, yeah, it's definitely very good. Together with that as well, because we have a lot of culture in LA, in New York, because we have a lot of culture in New York, unlike LA, there's a lot of different foods, which is amazing because you can find any cultural food you're looking for. If you go to Harlem, Bronx, you have all the fun soul food. If you go to Koreatown, like Little Korea, I think they call it, you have all the Korean barbecues. You go to the Indian spot, you have all the Indian food. You go to Coney Island, you have pirashki and all that, like the Russian food, you know, like the comfort Russian food. You have everything, you know. You go to Chinatown, obviously you have all that there, and you have the there is really anything you want to find. There's like Colombian food, Cuban food, Ukrainian food, soul food, American food, you know, like a lot of diners, a lot of that thing, you know. You like German food, French restaurants, Italian, a lot of Italian restaurants. Like there's everything you're looking for, you're gonna find. There are supermarkets, they're like different supermarkets. There are supermarkets you can find any type of food. Like if you come from a specific country and you want to find something that, you know, reminds you of home, you're probably gonna find a supermarket for that. You know, I know that Food Bazaar sorry, I don't know what's happening, but Food Bazaar has a lot of aisles specifically for like different countries, right? So they have a lot of the products imported from these countries. So you won't you won't be hungry in New York. So food is definitely great, but make sure you also eat healthy and you not get sucked into this like tasty, delicious stuff, because you can think that because you're running around all the time and because you're constantly like running, working, subways, you're all like doing these 4 flights of stairs 3 times a day, you can think like, I can afford myself to eat. Yeah, no, you can't. You still need to eat healthy, especially because you need the energy. So like if you start your morning every time with bagel, you know, and then bacon, egg, and cheese, and then your lunch is like halal pita with stuff inside, right? And like for dinner you're gonna have a cake, and like, no, you're not gonna survive. You need to fill your body with good energy, right? You need to eat healthy. Yes, you can have it sometimes, but like you can't have empanadas every day. Like don't do that to yourself. You're gonna look and feel different, right? If that's what you do. So be careful with the food here, because it is great. 12th question. Is it hard to rent an apartment on a visa? Yes. I mean, okay. Again, let's compare for a second. LA and New York, right? The biggest difference is, and I feel like it's because New York has a lot of laws that are pro-resident, right? So they need to protect themselves extra, especially if you're on a visa, and if it's so easy for you to just get the fuck out and not pay you rent, and they don't have anything about you, they don't have your socials, then you have like social security number, they don't have your like home address in your country, you can just disappear on them, right? Like they want to protect themselves. So I know that, for example, in LA, you'll just pay a bigger deposit and you can move in, even if you're a student, right? Like it's fine. The deposit is enough. It's going to be a big deposit, but it's possible. In New York, if you don't have a credit history, sufficient income, a proof, a certain kind of proof that you been living here for a while, and like you're not some kind of a freak that's just gonna like not pay rent, they require a guarantor. Like if you can't provide what they will provide you in order to move in, is credit history, good credit score, and 40 times the rent. Like your income, your yearly income should be 40 times the rent, which is insane. And most people, especially in their 20s, are not making that amount of money. Especially if like, because think about it, if you rent, like, if you're trying to rent an apartment that, like, let's say a studio, right? Like $2,500. How much do you need to make a month to be able to rent a studio for $2,500? Like, and I always say that, like, if I would be making that amount of money, I wouldn't be renting a $2,500 studio, right? I would be renting something better. So it's definitely like a kind of like a crazy ask. Some of you, if you are making that, that's amazing, that's awesome, but again, it's not enough. If you're on a visa, you don't have a credit score, you don't have a credit history, you don't have, even if you do have an income because you came here for a job, you don't have enough history to show that, right? And then you're probably asking yourself, okay, so what do I do? Like, how the hell do I rent an apartment? Like, I do have the money, here you go, my bank statements. Not enough. So in that case, New York offers a guarantor option. A guarantor is, there are two options. Either you have a relative and they are rich and they can do that for you. If you don't have a relative, there are companies that do that for you. It's literally called guarantor. And if you want, if you're looking for like an apartments like on Street Easy or, you know, places like that, and you add an extension to your Chrome, it's called Guarantor. Just type like guarantor.com and you add the extension to your Chrome. So whenever you go to Street Easy, it's going to show you next to the apartment, it's going to show you if they're accepting guarantors or not. Most apartments in Manhattan will accept guarantors. In which case, all you need is money, basically, because these guarantors, what they do is you apply through them to the apartment, right? Like, make sure with the apartment that it's fine, that they accept this type of guarantor, because there are a few of them. And then the apartment will tell you, apply through a guarantor. Then you go to the guarantor and you tell them, I want to rent this place. And then you send them all the documents you have, your income, your passport, your rent history if you have, whatever you have, savings in your bank in Thailand, that's fine. Just send them everything you have. And then like they match these details, like they see these details, and then they give you, they send you an email back basically saying how much you need to pay them in order for them to be your guarantor. So the max you'll pay is your monthly rent. So let's say your rent is $4,000. This is the max that they will ask you to pay, right? Like they can ask you anywhere from, I believe, $1,000 to $4,000. For example, if your rent is $4,000, I don't know like how much percentages they usually ask, but 100 is obviously the highest one. So the highest you'll get if you have nothing to prove, no documents, no savings, blah, blah, blah. They can reject you as well, right? But most likely they won't. They will just they're just gonna tell you to pay them $4,000. You pay them the $4,000. They become your guarantor. You send it back to your landlord or to your building or whatever. But usually it's already taken care of by the guarantor, and then you get approved for the apartment, and then you can live, and it's fine. That's if you have money. If you have money to pay the guarantor, because you need to take into consideration, because you need to pay the $4,000, for example, right? You have to pay the guarantor the amount that they're asking for, which is $4,000 all at once. You can't break that down. Then when you move into your apartment, you need to pay the deposit. The deposit is usually going to be $4,000 as well. Deposit is refundable. The guarantor is not. This is a money that you're just giving it to them, and you're like, hi, there you go, $4,000. I don't need it anymore. That's your guarantor. Deposit, don't expect it all back. The buildings here are going to find reasons not to give you back your deposit. You know, like every little thing in your apartment, you're going to be like, oh, we need to color that. We need to paint that. We need to fix that. We need to fix that. Just say goodbye to your deposit. Probably not going to get it back. That's what I heard from people. Let's see if I'm getting my deposit back. I really hope I do, because I read my contracts. Read your contract before you sign. Read. Always read. It's very important. Because that's your card, right? Like when you're moving out, you already know everything. When you're moving in, you know everything. Don't just sign contracts without reading, because people can trick you. So you pay the deposit, right? Another $4,000. And then you pay first month rent, which is another $4,000. So, you know, in total, like if you have the money, if you have $12,000 to move in first month, cool for you, good. Most people are not coming to the city with this amount of money. This is ridiculous. This is insane. Like, it's all your savings, or like, how long do you need to work for that to happen? So there is an option. There are different options. First of all, you can rent privately. Like, you can find a private landlord, show them that you have enough money, or, like, find somebody who requires less documents, who doesn't need to go through all this, like, credit history and credit score and all that, which was actually the first apartment that I got. It was a landlord. He was a private landlord. He had a building. I showed him my saving account, and he was like, okay, cool, no problem. He was an older man. He didn't care. I was never late on my rent. I always paid my rent on time, but he didn't require any of the other standard procedures that would be required for like a normal building in Manhattan, for example, or in Brooklyn. It really depends. So you can go to a private landlord and try to negotiate things from there. I would also recommend contacting your community. Like, I'm Israeli. It's so easy for me to go and search with other Israeli people and ask in the Facebook group from Israeli people and be like, hi, I'm looking for apartment, somebody's renting, blah, blah, blah. They probably help you. If you're coming from Japan, for example, go to the Japanese Facebook group and be like, hi, I'm here, like, who can help me? And you're probably going to find a lot of help within your community. If all these options are not working out for you, the third option, which is, I feel like, the easiest option for people who really coming here with nothing at all, sublet. I would just sublet apartments, right? Like, usually when you require, like, a lot of sublets would not require a credit score. It would not require anything. You'll sign a simple contract saying that you're subletting an apartment. You'll give them some money up front. You give them a deposit, right? But then you can live. It's usually like a shorter period of time. Usually you're like taking over somebody's lease, or somebody's going away and you can, like, live in their room for a while. But this is a really good starting point. That's how I started as well. I lived in a sublet for 2 months until I found my apartment that I actually went and saw with my eyes and be like, okay, that's something I want to do. Because renting an apartment from outside of New York, just like there are a lot of scams. It's very dangerous. So that's usually like what I recommend. Just come in a sublet and then try. And if nothing works, just keep doing the sublet thing. It's the easiest way, especially with roommates. Because usually with roommates, like, a lot of times one person will sign a lease and then they will like sublease the rooms, and then they don't require as much, and you can find like it's easier, right? Just make sure you have a contract. Make sure you have an agreement. You're not getting scammed, because it's a big city, a lot of scammers here. So just make sure that you always read what's written. You always sign something, and nobody's stealing your money and running away. There are so many stories about people who paid a deposit, came to the place, and there's no place. So just make sure you're safe in that case, okay? So that's about an apartment. So as you see, there are options. It really depends on your budget, on your situation. If you need a little bit more help, and if you need to consult me about anything, again, I'm not like a professional, but I can help you through my experiences, because I moved a lot. I used to live in a sublet, then I moved to Queens, then I moved to Manhattan with a guarantor. First one without a guarantor, second one with a guarantor. Now I moved without a guarantor, right? Because I'm here for 3 years now, so I was able to actually like show things for myself. So that was amazing. But it takes time, and I would recommend you to have a plan. Even if you're subleasing now, but you're planning to rent your own apartment and you don't want to pay a guarantor, I would recommend you to have a plan of how to build your credit fast, how to get the income that you need, how to prove it, how to basically create a plan so that after 1 year, you're like, okay, I'm good to go. I can rent a normal apartment now on my own name. Because it also helps, to live in your own place, to have something under your name, to actually prove something. Because if you're subleasing for a year and then you come to a new place and people will be like, the landlord will be like, can you show me history like of rent? What are you going to show them? That you paid in cash in an envelope to the person that actually owns the place, that actually rents the place? Or like, what are you going to show for yourself, right? Like there is not much you can show. So I would recommend to do it as fast as possible and to create an actual plan to make that happen. Oh my God, we're finishing very soon. I can't believe it. Oh my God. Okay, we're gonna go for one more question, and then the rest of you who I didn't get to answer, I promise that I'll get to it later. You can add more questions because we still have more to go. So we went to 12 questions. I'm very proud of us. Thank you for sticking with me. Let's end on question 13. What's the best way to learn English? So I guess if you listen to this podcast, you speak English, you kind of know it. So, but I will answer anyway, because I do have some, like the person who asked this question on Instagram, like they speak English, but they need more, right? They need to be able to communicate better so they can get a better job, so they can actually like make friends and, feel comfortable with the language, because it's easier to listen on YouTube or on the radio, or to just in general listen to somebody. But when you need to communicate, when it's time for you to say the words, it's harder. And it happens to me with German, for example. I understand German, I understand Spanish, I understand Portuguese, not all of it, like, German better, like Spanish and Portuguese I kind of like, I can catch stuff, but to speak it, German I can speak a little bit because I already forgot everything, but like Spanish and Portuguese I'm like, I understand, but speaking is so much harder. So there are, if you have budgets, I would recommend an English school. It's also a really good way. First of all, they give you a student visa if that's what you're looking for, English school, Second, they can prepare you for university or for college. If that's what you're aiming for, they can prepare you for a job. You can get an actual like certificate that you actually completed the language. It's a great way to meet friends. It's a great way to start here in the city, to get to know more people, to kind of like get involved in the community of like new students, also newcomers, new people that come to New York. I feel like it's a great way to meet people. If you are on a budget and you came to New York, you have a job, you can't afford like English school right now, and you need to like something a little bit more affordable and maybe even like practical, there are, if you go on Meetup and Eventbrite, there are language exchange events that are happening in the city all the time. That's one of them. Second one is make friends, go to networking social events and just talk all the time. Watch TV shows, listen to podcasts, talk, write, do YouTube, exercise. Language is something practical that you always need to work on. You can't just it can't be just in theory. You need to practice it. So find people maybe that are better in this language that you're trying to learn, whether it's English or whatever it is, right? Like you just find people that you can help them with something and they can help you back. So don't go and talk to somebody who also don't speak English because they can't help you, right? Talk to somebody who can actually help you with your English, and maybe in exchange you can teach them, I don't know, Spanish, find somebody. There are also apps that you can learn English, but I really recommend the best way if you can't afford school, go to these language exchange events. They're free. Do that and communicate with people. Communicate with all the time. If you want to find a private tutor, that's also possible, but it's not gonna it's not the same. I feel like, and I also would tell you not to worry about that, because if you live in this country, you will speak English. You kind of find yourself, and I have an episode about that with Kavi. I think it's episode number 4, if I'm not mistaken, or 5, from Colombia to NYC as an au pair. And Kavi and I spoke about her coming to America with no English at all. And she was able to sit here after 2 years and have a normal conversation with me in English. And she didn't go to school. She didn't go to exchange. She just spoke with people that were here, right? She met friends. She met people. She was a babysitter to American kids. She kind of she jumped into the waters, right? And she's kind of figured her way out and learn English. And it's something that but you need to practice English all the time. Otherwise, you'll forget it, like me with German, right? I'm not practicing my German. I forgot it. So speak. Don't be shy. There's so many immigrants here. There's so many people here that speak with an accent, that maybe don't talk really correctly, and no one cares. I promise you, no one cares. Just talk, just practice. Don't be shy. Don't be afraid. People will accept you. We're not that rude. And it's going to be okay. Just try. As people will see you trying, they will help you the best way they can. Okay? I hope that was a good episode for you. I mean, I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed. we're not going to continue in 2 weeks, because in 2 weeks I'm hoping to have a guest. I'm still waiting for an answer from him, and if it's not him, I'll try to bring somebody else, because it's last episode I didn't have a guest as well. So I'm going to try to have a guest next time. If not, we're going to continue, but I will try to have somebody. If you have a specific topic you want to cover, if you have more questions, feel free to follow me on Instagram. It's Simply Vika. The link is down below. Or if you're watching live, then you came from Instagram, so that's fine. You have my Instagram. Just write me in the inbox or in the comments below your questions that you want to know about New York, or maybe a topic that you want me to cover, or a guest from a specific field that you want me to bring. And I will consider that, and we'll go from there. But for now, I'm going to leave you with some music. And I wish us for a wonderful day. And thank you for watching again. And I love you guys. And yeah. Stay healthy. Bye, you guys.